She wasn't looking for anything, just grabbing his charger. But the screen lit up, and her world cracked open. Hundreds of messages. Late nights. Secret emojis. Different women. Different lies. All threaded through her life. She read every word in silence. Every fake, "I miss you." No tears. Just a sharp breath and a colder heart. He was planning something for her birthday. She'd heard him whisper about it. She smiled bitterly. So did he. To 12 other women. She didn't throw the phone. She took screenshots. And with shaking hands, she started making a slideshow. He booked the venue, ordered champagne, rented a floral arch. Tonight was the big surprise, the proposal she'd never see coming. She has no idea. He laughed to his best friend. He rehearsed his speech full of fake promises. The ring was expensive. The lies cost nothing. He greeted guests like royalty, soaking up attention. "Shay is perfect," he told everyone. "Shay's my forever." But his hands were guilty. And his smile? Crooked. He didn't notice the way people glanced toward the entrance. Because she had just walked in a red dress and colder eyes. She didn't wait for him to speak. She stood in the middle of the room, raised a glass and a remote. "Before you all hear his proposal, I have something to show you." Doll. The screen lit up behind her, quiet at first. Then, chaos. Texts. Photos. Names. Hotel receipts. Screenshots of his fake love stories. Gasps broke the silence. A few guests stepped back in disgust. He turned pale, reached out. "Wait." She turned to him. "You planned a proposal. I planned a reveal." The last slide read, "This is who he really is." Then she set the remote down and walked out to applause. He stood frozen as the crowd backed away. Someone muttered, "What a clown." Another shook their head in disbelief. His mother stared in shock. His sister left without a word. The music had stopped. The lights felt too bright. He tried to speak, but no one wanted to hear it. No defense could undo what they had just seen. "It was just texting," he mumbled. Weak, piped, unconvincing. But no one was listening anymore. She had said everything without screaming. And now, all that remained was silence and shame. She didn't look back. Didn't need to. Her phone buzzed with messages. Friends, strangers, even his exes. "You're a legend." That was iconic. "Thank you for saying what we never could." Each message felt lighter than the last. She walked barefoot halfway home, heels in her hand, heart steady. No more pretending. No more shrinking. He had written his love story with lies. She rewrote it with truth and a projector. Tonight wasn't a heartbreak. It was a rebirth. And she'd never let anyone dim her again. By morning, the video had gone viral. Someone had filmed the whole thing, from the red dress to the final slide. Millions watched in awe. Cheating exposed with cinematic precision. Comments exploded. "This is art. She needs a Netflix deal." He shut down his accounts by noon. She gained 50,000 followers. News outlets picked it up. Woman turns proposal into public justice. She didn't post a single thing. She didn't have to. The story told itself. And for once, the woman wronged didn't cry in silence. She walked away, and the world clapped with her. She spent the next day replying to strangers like old friends. Women sent her screenshots of their own betrayals, receipts, pain, patterns. One wrote, "You helped me leave him." Another, "You gave me courage." She didn't feel famous. She felt useful. For the first time, her pain had purpose. Not revenge, not cruelty, Just truth, seen and heard. She typed slow, thoughtful replies. You deserve better. You're not crazy. Her living room became a war room for women reclaiming dignity. The internet hadn't just watched her stand up. It had stood up with her. He stayed offline, but the internet didn't forget. Every time he opened his phone, the story found him again. Job interviews stopped. Friends distanced themselves. He walked down the street and caught people whispering, pointing. The video had no sound, but it said everything. He tried to defend himself once, posted a long apology. It was ratioed within an hour and deleted just as fast. He went from life of the party to ghost overnight. And every time he saw a red dress, he flinched, because her silence haunted louder than his lies ever could. She met a friend for coffee, one who'd been cheated on too. You should turn it into something, her friend said. A podcast, a platform, anything. She laughed. You really think people would care? They already do. Look at your inbox. Why? She looked down at the notebook. Doodles turned into outlines. Episode ideas. Guest names. A title. A red flags and projectors. It wasn't about the breakup anymore. It was about every woman who got burned and stayed quiet. She wouldn't stay quiet ever again. She would press play again and again and again. She recorded her first episode at midnight. No script, just her voice, honest and steady. She told the story exactly how it happened. No edits, no apologies. This isn't about revenge, she said. It's about remembering who the hell I am. By morning, it had 100,000 downloads. Women messaged. I screamed. I cried. Thank you. She didn't expect it to resonate, but it did, deeply. Every message, every listener reminded her she wasn't alone. And every week, her voice grew louder. Not in volume, in power. He sat alone at a bar when her face flashed across the TV. Top podcast in relationships. Millions of subscribers. Headlines praising her brilliance. He stared at the screen, jaw clenched. The bartender said, "She's a legend. You heard about that proposal video, right?" He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I was there." But the bartender had already moved on, still laughing. He sipped his drink in silence. All he'd wanted was control. Applause. To feel powerful. Now the only thing anyone remembered was her walking away. And him, standing in the wreckage he built. Months later, she stepped onto a stage filled with women. No spotlight needed. Her presence was enough. You don't have to stay small to keep someone else comfortable, she said. The crowd leaned in. Silent. Ready? You don't have to forgive quietly. You don't have to smile through betrayal. And if tears. Nods. Applause. They weren't just listening. They were healing. She wasn't famous for exposing him anymore. She was known for freeing herself and showing others how to do it. And as she left the stage, one woman whispered, "You saved me." She smiled. They saved each other. The sun rose slowly over a life she built herself. No chaos, no pretending, just peace and purpose. She opened her inbox and read stories from women around the world. Each message was a thread connecting survival to strength. They didn't just thank her, they trusted her. She replied to as many as she could, with love and fire in equal parts. Her voice had become more than a podcast. It was a spark. And the world? Full of women ready to burn down their silence. She didn't need closure from him anymore. She had a global sisterhood instead. He walked past a bookstore on a rainy evening and froze. There it was, her face on a book cover. Title in bold, "Watch Me Leave." He stepped closer, heart pounding. The subtitle? A love story rewritten by the woman who walked away. He picked it up, flipped through it, found a chapter that described everything. Verbatim buta, word for word, down to his proposal playlist. He closed the book slowly, set it down. No rage, no denial, just the weight of being exposed. Again, she had immortalized the moment he thought he'd control, and turned it into her greatest liberation. She stood at the summit, wind pushing her hair back, eyes forward. No crowd, no cameras, no ring. Just her, whole, wild, unapologetic. She didn't need revenge anymore. She'd outgrown it. Every step forward had rewritten what he tried to define. She wasn't the girl he cheated on, or the woman he underestimated. She was the storm that followed. And now, the calm after it. Her story wasn't about him anymore. It never really was. She sat beneath studio lights, calm and commanding. The host leaned forward. "What made you play that video?" She smiled. "He planned a performance. I gave them a documentary." Laughter, applause, but behind it all. "Did you expect a reaction?" the host asked. "No," she said, "but I hoped it would remind people, women don't owe silence." The clip trended within minutes. 1,000 reposts, 1,000,000 cheers. She hadn't just exposed a liar. She created a blueprint for dignity. The moment was never about revenge. It was about reclaiming the narrative. In a small-town classroom, her memoir became part of the curriculum. A teacher held up the book. "Watch me leave. Unimsi, adava." "Restudying voice," she said, "and how truth can shatter glass." Teenagers leaned in, flipping pages, marking passages. One girl underlined the sentence, "I didn't need his ring, I needed my voice." Another whispered, "She's brave." Her story wasn't just being read. It was being felt, passed down like armor, memorized like survival. She had written more than a breakup book. She'd written permission to walk away. She walked home through a quiet city, heels clicking softly on wet pavement. Billboards flashed. Her name, her voice, her story. But the fame didn't matter. The fire did. She paused at a window, saw her reflection, strong and clear. Not someone scorned, someone sculpted. She had left behind the girl who waited for proposals. She had become the woman who brought a projector. And as she disappeared into the night, one truth echoed behind her. She didn't just leave the party. She became the story everyone remembered.